Okay, good morning, guys. So today's episode of in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how I analyzed all these markets. This is USDCHF. This is 1:14 risks to reward. This is 1:10 risks to reward ratio. 1:11 risks to reward ratio. One is to let's say 13 risks to reward ratio, and 1:13 risks to reward ratio. And now I'm aiming for 1:17 risks to reward ratio. I'm going to be showing you guys how I did all this analysis. I'm going to also show you guys the before and after all this analysis. I had everything when it was at entry to when it hit TP to when it was at entry to when it hit TP. So basically, let's just dive down to business. I'm going to be deleting all this for the video sake. I'm going to be deleting all the record. So let's start. So what I did, I had to go on my daily time frame. I had to go on my daily time frame to observe what was happening to USDCHF. And when I observed in the overall trend, it was in a downtrend. You see the market direction is going downward. See the market direction is going downward. It's going downward in a way. So the market was overall in a downtrend. But now what was I expecting? I know it was in a downtrend still, but I was still expecting like a correction. But if you see, it was market is creating like lower highs. This is a high, this high is lower than this high is lower than this high, like it was just trying to create a lower high. But now something happened here. In this zone, there was like a resistance in this zone. So I know okay, there is possibility of market actually going back up. Maybe mitigate this zone, maybe come back or even break out this resistance in a way. So I had to now go on my 4 hours time frame to look for the current market price. And I was not like observing the whole trend. In the current market price, what was happening is still to see a downtrend continuation. Like on the 4 hours, 4 hours see a high time frame, just see a downtrend continuation. So then, so where the price was at that current time. Price was here. What did I do? I had to observe. Price was going downward, downward, downward. Then something happened. Instead of like having momentum to go up. Initially, price was in this zone. So what did I look out for? So I went to my 1 hour time frame. I went to my 1 hour time frame on this same chart. So that's how I got that long 1:17 buys. I went to my 1 hour time frame. And what did I observe? I observed a market structure shift. It's a market structure shift. Some people call it a change of character. But for this video, I'm calling it a market structure shift. Now indicate it with MSS. Sorry, I'll indicate it with MSS. To observe a market structure shift. Yeah. What means by market structure shift for beginners is it means when market is in a downtrend or in a particular trend and changes trend, a high or a low that is being taken out, it respects against the trend called market structure shift. Understand the whole concept, but I'm not diving into that for now. So I observed the market structure shift. Then what did I observe again? I observed there was a break of structure to the upside, right? There's a break of structure to the upside after this market structure shift. Market kept on like giving us confirmation, okay, this market wants to go up. So it's the break of structure, right? So it's the whole break of structure. It is the BOS. So it's a break of structure to the upside. So what happened again? After the break of structure, what was the origin of the break of structure? This was the origin. This was the initial origin. What is origin? Like the where the break of structure started from. This was the origin that caused these heights to come from. This was not the break of structure. This was not the origin that caused the whole break of structure. So this was the initial origin that made this market structure shift to happen. What else did I observe? I observed that okay, after this whole break of structure, this was not the origin that caused the break of structure. Then I was not looking for a confirmation. I was not looking for a confirmation. So I observed another break of structure that happened to give me, okay, this is a confirmation. Two break of structures now in one trend. Give me that this is a confirmation that market is actually trying to head to the upward direction. So after this whole move, I now understood that okay, now in this whole zone, there's actually like liquidity backing it out. There's a structural liquidity here. This is the liquidity, like a V-shaped structural liquidity in a way. Observe this V-shaped liquidity, like a V-shape, like a origin that caused this whole break of structure. So what I was expecting, I was expecting, okay, price now that created a break of structure, and this low is the origin that started the whole break of structure. This was the market structure shift. This was the origin of the market structure shift. This was the origin now that started this whole uptrend. So I expected this origin here, this green line, to be protected. What I mean by protected, market shouldn't take it out. So after I saw this liquidity here, I just indicated the dollar sign. After I saw this liquidity here, I knew that market to initially come and clear it. So I was not like, okay, if market clears it, where will market now like come to and start reacting off? So I observed this other block here that was unmitigated. I like picking a point of interest that was not mitigated. There is no mitigated. Point of interest is your initial like place you want to take a trade from, or your initial area in the market you actually want to take your trade from. So I observed this other block here. I was unmitigated. If you observe, market have not come towards the other block. Even this liquidity here, they didn't tap on it. If you observe, look very closely. You see, market is just an unmitigated other block. Market did not tap on it. And it was closer to the liquidity. So I pick an unmitigated point of interest and a point of interest that's closer to liquidity. Initially, there's another block here. There's another block here. So which one is closer to this liquidity? It's definitely this one. That's why I picked this one. So I now put my entry. This was my entry. My entry was this other block. I'll show you guys the trade when it was at the beginning. So this was my entry, and my stop loss was slightly under it because I knew that okay, if market take out this low, then this strategy is not holding. So after this whole two break of structure, my entry here, and my take profit was actually this high. Take profit was actually this high. But if you observe in this zone, there was what happened here. There was a mini uptrend that was trying to happen here. The market now broke it, creating another market structure shift here. Creating another market structure shift here. So I was expecting now, okay, price should actually like go back there before like any dumping. That was my initial take profit. So I put my zone here. I put my line here. This market structure shift. I will call it breaker block too. So that was my initial TP. It was a very long trade. It was a very long trade. That was my initial TP. That was how I got 1 is to I think 12, 1 to 12 maximum this trade. And I shared it to my Signal group and actually made money from it. So after market came here, this was 1 is to 9.5, approximately 1 is to 12. 1 is to 12 here. So that was I got here, 1 is to 12, sorry. 1 is to 12, basically. So after market got here, I saw the impulsive rejection. The impulsive rejection that happened there, the impulsive drop. I think it was news that dropped it. And now okay, I now noticed that okay, yes, this zone is actually going to hold. This breaker block zone is going to hold. So what did I do? After market now, this is a mini structure. This mini structure was going in an uptrend. Yeah. Then after this whole market structure like broke downward, after this whole uptrend broke downward, I was not expecting okay, there's gonna be sales that's gonna happen. That'll come back to maybe initially this zone before going back up. What did I observe? Sorry. What did I observe? I now had to observe another market structure shift in this mini structure. This was the market structure shift, right? For people that know what market structure shift is, you understand. It was the last lower high that was taken out. So this is my market structure shift on my 1 hour time frame. I'm not going to a lower time frame. I like analyzing on 1 hour and above time frame. So this is market structure shift. Then what was now the inducement? Out of the liquidity that is closest to this market structure shift? This was the inducement. This was the liquidity. This. It's also like an A shape in a way. A shape and V shape. A shape is for downtrend, while V shape is for uptrend. V shape like this is for uptrend, basically. So this is what I saw, and this was the last point of it. So I marked out my liquidity. marked out my liquidity level. What was I expecting? What would be my point of interest now? And I observed that this liquidity did not mitigate this breaker block. This is a breaker block in a way, market structure breaker block. It's another block that failed. This was also be another block that market would have like come and tap on it, then bounce back, but it failed by going downward instead. So you call it a breaker block. So I observed that market did not tap on the breaker block. So the breaker block was officially unmitigated. So I now took my entry here at this breaker block. You see this last black candle. So this was my entry at this breaker block. And it was the closest to this liquidity. There was another block here, but I cannot use other block because this other block is far from the liquidity. So I took my entry here, and I was aiming for this V-shaped liquidity to be taken out again, for it to gather momentum to fly up. But that's how my liquidity concept it must be mostly A shape or V shape, except it's an inducement liquidity. This was my entry, and it was my entry. My stop loss was slightly above the breaker block, just in case of maybe spread or something. That was my entry, and my take profit was this zone. Take profit was this liquidity that should be taken out. So what the price do? Price gave me immediately tapped on this entry, it started dropping. And I think I made cool amount of money then. Let me see if I can get this slide. Let me see if I can get this slide. Sorry. I think I made yeah, this was it. This was it. This was it. This was the entry at first. This was the entry at first. When I entered it, I had to use 4 hours so people don't know where I was entering from. But this was my entry at first, and this was how it played out that same day. This was how it played out that first same day. I played out that first day. And this was the first entry I took. It was the first buy I took. I told you the other block. This was the liquidity that was taken out. And my buys was short-term buys. Then I observed that zone and I raised the profit splits. My take profit to higher zone. So that was what happened here. And the market dropped, gave me initial profit. I think it gave me about $5,000 on one position. Let me see if I can get that. Can get that. I think it gave me about $5,000. Okay, maximum $6,000 on that same position. This was the entry. That zone. Was the entry that zone. And it gave me about $6,000. And I did not close because I was expecting my profit to get to this zone, my take profit to get to this zone. That's why I did not close. Then what I observed, market started reversing. And it's okay. I was not scared of the reversal still. But I need to understand what was market doing. Market was now like trying to change direction in a way. After market dropped, it gave like a break of structure to the downside. Then this was not the last liquidity here. And this was a double top liquidity. A different type of liquidity, trend line, double top, double bottom, structural inducement, there are different type of liquidity. So this I saw a double top liquidity, but at first I also saw an A-shaped liquidity, an A-shaped liquidity. Then when I now saw another A-shaped liquidity here, and it was giving me a double top, I know that yes, market should clear this whole high. Then that was what market did. So I saw this liquidity and it's like a double top. You see the two tops touched each other. Yeah, yeah. I was like, okay, market should clear this liquidity. So where should market now tap on when it clears the liquidity? So it's not like, okay, where will be my point of interest now? I had to, from my own understanding of point of interest, I had to pick a point of interest that is unmitigated on a higher time frame. The point of interest that is closer to this liquidity. I went to my 2 hours time frame so I could get a clear point of interest. And I observed this other block here. Initially, people will call this another block, but this is also another block. Just like a white sheep in different colors of black sheeps, that kind of thing. So this was the odd man out, and it's my other block for this entry, my point of interest. I think it was only 4 hours I didn't got the entry, but no, it's 2 hours. Then this was not my entry because it was closest to this liquidity. It's closer to this liquidity. And so took my sell again So my sell again, my second entry sell down to this zone. My take profit was still this zone. Still this zone. That was how I got this was a should be 1:10, 1:10 risk to reward. Approximately 1:10. How I got 1:10 risk to reward. And what market did again? After it gave me profit, I think I entered the trade again. I think I entered the trade. Sorry, let me see. I entered the second entry. So the second entry. So when I got the second entry. So okay, it was on the 3 hours, I got the second entry. It was all mitigated on the 3 hour. After I got the second entry, I saw the downward pull. It was when markets activated it. When markets activated it, second entry activated it, and so the entry. That time my profit have already reduced on the first entry. So I entered the second entry again with 5 lot size, and so how it started giving me profit for the 2 entries on my MetaTrader 4. It was on a small account, MetaTrader 5. It was the entry, it's like sniper entry. Since I made like 100 and something dollars here on a small account. On my big account, I was up about 11K already because the downward pull was already much. So this is how it went. 3 hours time frame for them point of interest, and it was how we started dropping to this zone back. So I started dropping to this zone back. And that was how I got to think it was 3 hour time frame, yeah. Yeah, it was 3 hour time frame. And that was how I got this entry. So how I got my third entry was still simple. It was still simple. I got another entry here. After this break of structure, there was a break of structure happened. After this break of structure to the upside, to the downside, sorry. What was the first the pullback that happened? The V-shaped pullback. Let's go to the 2 hours time frame. It was the V-shaped pullback. The A-shaped pullback. Sorry, it was the A-shaped pullback. This was the highest zone of the A-shaped pullback. I'm like, okay, it still created a double top. I think I went on a 1 hour time frame, yeah. Created a double top. A double top. Yeah, so the double top it created here. So I was not expecting price to take it out and tap on a point of interest. This was now the point of interest market tapped on this other block here. You see this other block, breaker block, or whatsoever. So the point of interest, it tapped on it like sniper. So this was how I was getting multiple trades using the same concept. Just the retracement, you get your liquidity sweep, then look for a value point of interest that is closer to the liquidity sweep, and you make your money. That was how I got this other block here. That was how I got this 1:10 risk to reward here. And it was like a sniper entry and fell, but I didn't take this trade initially, but I analyzed it. This was the last setup I did. It was the last setup I did. It was the last setup I did. After this downward pull that broke this low here, I noticed that okay, this was the last high. I was expecting okay, price should come back to this zone. All these zones were like mitigated. So after this price came here, okay, I now observed there was an order block here, same order block. And also I used my Fibonacci to observe there was an order, but I think this was the order block was in the 2 hours time frame or so. But this was just my entry again. And the same concept, the same take profit. So just like a swing trade over and over again. Like a swing trade over and over again. This was how my take profit was here, and it was how markets overall smashed my take profit. Smashed all my take profit. After market smashed my take profit, I had a buy setup already that was going to take out this structural liquidity here, and also I think it was the 2 hours time frame, and come on this other block. Yeah, this was the other block. I was expecting price to come on because it was unmitigated. This one was mitigated. This is the one that was unmitigated. So I took my trade here. I took my trade here. It was like a tight stop loss. I was aiming it to get back to this zone, get back to this zone at least. I shared it also to my Telegram boys. This is my initial full TP. And right now market is in profit. So I expect it to hit TP maybe by next week or maybe this week. And that's why I'm getting 1 is to, let's say, 18 weeks to reward on this buy. And right now we're already up like 1 is to 5 weeks to reward on this trade. This is how I got multiple trades in one currency pair over time, weeks by weeks by weeks. That was how I was able to make. I made about $18,000 roughly. Made about $18,000. This was the first entry. For the first entry, this was when it smashed take profit, and I increased my take profit to this zone. It also smashed it. It smashed it here, and this smashed it here. Yeah, and this was my second entry on the sales. This was the entry point, and it gave me profit. It was when I entered here, and it's 5 lot size. So the entry, and I made $6,000 initially, but I still held the trade, and it retraced and gave me another second entry, which I entered. Was when it was at entry, and this was when it activated and was giving me profit. And when it started going my direction, so when it was going my direction, my small account was $11 for fuel and $100 something for fuel. And this was when it was giving me profit. I literally flipped this 10K account to 21K account. Literally flipped it. So when it was giving me more profit. And this was the other entries that finalized CP. I didn't get screenshot of the entries. That's why I couldn't get the before and after for the last two entries. But this was how I was able to trade these entries. I totally made $13,000 on those two trades, and the buy currently, I'm already up on the buys that I analyzed like 3 weeks ago, and the buys are already in profit, and I made about $3,000 on the buy on the small accounts, around 500,000, around $500. That is just it. I'm gonna be doing another video, and this is my group. This is my trading group, and I shared everything with them. I shared everything with them, to them to buy. Then I told them to buy the trade, for them to buy USDCHF now, and they bought it. It was already at entry. It was already at profit. In profit, I just everything I shared it here. All my analysis I shared it here. All my analysis I share it here. All. So my name is Dila, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. Thank you.